Government unveils new business regulatory platform to provide advisory services for private sector businesses. New data from GIPC shows significant increase in value of projects registered by foreigners in first half of the year. And sighting of telecom masts around the Wa airport forces authorities to suspend commercial flight operations. Hello everyone, welcome to the Marketplace. My name is Darryl Kwao. Details after this break. Welcome back to the Marketplace. We begin with some aviation news. Sector Minister Joseph Kofiada has said telecommunication masts located around the Wa airport have forced the suspension of commercial flight operations. Management of the airport have now reduced the length of the runway by 70 meters. The sector minister says if the telecommunication masts are removed, it would enable the pilots to use a full 2,000-meter runway and halt the interference of communication between pilots and aviation officials on the ground. JoyNews' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports that residents in the region are not happy with the suspension of commercial flights.
For the umpteenth time, they are back for the inspection of the Wa airport, which residents have even lost count of the number of times they are here, yet it's still the same old story.
The four items that I've identified, the location of the telecom masts, which are in the right path of the flight operations, the communication system that's interfering with the navigation service devices, interfering between them and the pilots, the need for the apron, the need for the roof welling, and also we've been working on a new control tower to support the operation of the airport at Wa. So these are things that all fit into the agenda of the president to make sure all the infrastructure that we're bringing to the country is used efficiently.
10 months ago, residents of the Upper West region were in cloud 9 following the reopening of the Wa airport for commercial flight operations. The short ceremony was marked with pomp and pageantry. Before that, the Wa airport was only a preserve for high-ranking government functionaries coming into the region for official assignments using the Ghana Air Force. Though the operations of Africa World Airline has not been regular and smooth since they started operation, which sometimes blame on poor weather conditions, their operations came to a halt following the advent of COVID-19, the disease caused by the coronavirus.
With the constraints in terms of how many passengers they can take, and the fact that many have stopped flying, it's making it uneconomical for them to be coming here as frequently as they were coming. We're even looking to increase that. With the COVID-19, it's gone down. I think given that we're going to reopen the airports by the end of this month, go to early next month, I'm sure they'll reconsider that, look at it from economic point of view. If they are sure that more passengers will come, and then they can benefit from buying the fuel and flying and paying their personnel and so on and so forth. So purely commercial reason, that's why they're not coming as frequently as we would love them to come.
Throughout the inspection tour of the aviation minister, it was unclear as to when the commercial flights will resume operations at the airport. For now, the fulfillment of a lifelong dream of residents of the Upper West region of an air transport on their doorstep that was heralded by pomp and pageantry appears to be flaming out, and thus ending on a dull fad. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam. Wa.
Now, new data from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center shows total value of registered projects by foreigners for first half of the year witnessed significant increase. It reached $317 million from 68 projects registered with the center. George Rafe has more.
In 2019, the total value of projects registered by foreigners with the Ghana Investment Promotion Center was valued at $123 million for 72 projects registered. But when you look at the numbers again, it revealed that in 2019, it recorded 4 more projects compared to this year's figures. However, in monetary value, the 2020 numbers were far better than what we recorded in 2019. But could it be the last year wasn't just good for the country in terms of attraction of foreign capital? Or let's say the coronavirus impact on the economy wasn't that bad in terms of how we attracted foreign capital to Ghana. Well, the data from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center showed that in 2017, foreign direct investment inflows to Ghana stood at $4.9 billion, but it showed a decline in 2018 to $3.3 billion. The decreasing trend continued in 2019 as flows further reduced to over $1 billion. According to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, based on how the numbers are picking up as at the end of June this year, this is an indication that the outlook might not be bad and things could be improving strongly post-COVID-19. When you look at the total investment for the first half of this year, it reached over $681 million, far higher than what was recorded in 2019. According to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center's COVID-19 survey, which engaged foreign businesses operating in this country, some of them indicated that going forward, they see a reduction in their workforce, while some will pursue vigorously the work-from-home policy. Some businesses engaged also wanted further reduction in taxes for manufacturers and tax exemptions on capital expenditure.
Now, Parliament has passed the Development Finance Institutions Bill 2020 to help strengthen the country's financial sector. This will see the birth of the Ghana Development Bank. My colleague Sandra Esina-Ofeno has been finding out from a member of Parliament's Finance Committee, Anthony Efa, what the role of the bank will be and where that leaves the National Investment Bank, the NIB.
The government is still in the process of setting it up, and the indication is that in September, hopefully the bank would have capitalized enough to start it. Now, the government of Ghana is expecting some international financial institutions to put together about $500 million as seed capital for this development bank. The whole purpose of this bank is to transform industry in Ghana. Is to transform agric and to improve agro-processing and also to look at the housing and mortgage sector. These subsectors that I've mentioned require huge sums of money. They need long tenures. They need some bit of concessionality in the rates that the banks will offer, so that they can also, as it will, contribute to the economic development. So the main focus of the development bank that the central bank, the Bank of Ghana, is anticipating, is that they can help revitalize or transform industries, do agro-processing, particularly construction.
All right.
When I say construction, we're looking more at the housing sector, the mortgage sector.
I'm sure a lot of people will be wondering where this leaves the National Investment Bank, that's the NIB, which has a core mandate of merchant banking. Will it be collapsed?
No. NIB itself is at the verge of collapse. As at 2018, looking at the accounts of this bank and evaluation, there were all indications that NIB was actually collapsing. But because it's a state bank, the government is treating it differently, more like it's trying to put in every effort to ensure it survives. So the Ghana Development Bank is not going to kill NIB. Rather, government has put in place arrangements, financing arrangements, such that NIB would be revived and then they can become profitable. One thing, the first step that government of Ghana did for NIB was to swap 500 million cedis for the shares of NIB in Nestle Ghana, so that they could have immediate liquidity to operate. But after a while, when they did the full assessment, they realized no, NIB needs about 2.2 billion cedis to be able to, as it were, clean its books, to have liquidity and to meet the minimum capital requirement, 2.2 billion. So government realized the 500 million swap transaction was also going to help NIB with liquidity and also to meet the minimum capitalization. So when they really put down on government, decided that they will put NIB under a special arrangement to be managed by the Ghana Amalgamated Trust, GATT, to raise the required funding of about 2.2 billion cedis to revive NIB.
In other news, taking us now to the Ashanti region, an operation to eliminate the viral disease Peste des Petits Ruminants, PPR, which kills goats and sheep, has been launched in the Sekyere District, Sekyere Central District. Now, close to 100,000 goats and sheep die annually in the district because of the disease, a major headache for livestock farmers. JoyNews' Mohammed Nuruddin has more in this report.
Peste des Petits Ruminants, simply known as PPR, was first reported in Côte d'Ivoire in 1942 and subsequently in other parts of West Africa. Goats and sheep are susceptible to the virus, but goats exhibit more severe clinical disease. On a yearly basis, the Sekyere Central loses at least 60% of the 157,000 small ruminants in the district. This means that more than 282,000 goats and sheep have died of the disease in the past 3 years. District Veterinary Officer Adumanko Daniel is worried the situation is not getting better.
The commonest ones are PPR and mange disease. The PPR, every year we lose about 94,200 in Madai every year, representing 60%. Representing 60% of the total population of small ruminants in my district.
Though human beings are not at risk, the disease causes a lot of economic losses to livestock farmers. It will take about 5 years to eliminate PPR from the district.
A scheduled disease. In a veterinary, we call something a scheduled disease, which means that it is serious, then it needs immediate attention. So it was through surveillance that I got to know that this is the disease, the two main diseases that is affecting us in the district. And with this exercise that we are doing it every year. And then the money involved is quite huge, because right now in the OCDs we need about 2.5 billion OCDs to be able to vaccinate all the sheep and goats in my district.
Another biggest challenge of farmers is the mange disease, which has killed more than 94,000 sheep and goats. But because mange is ectoparasite, it does not have a specific period to be eliminated. Mr. Daniel says they can only manage it.
And then there's another disease that also affects the animals, and it's common. It is called mange. That is caused by mites. That's the ectoparasite. Sometimes you see that the animals, they lose their hair. That one to cause about 10% of the animal death, because the mange, it is not a viral disease, so treating it is easier. But for the PPR, once it attacks the animal, the chances of surviving is minimal. That's why we have a huge number, about 94,200 dying each year. And when you total the cost of these animals dying, it's representing about the old CDs, that's 14.1 billion that the district loses every year.
Mr. Daniel and his team have intensified their intensive disease surveillance, strict movement of animals in and out of the district, among others. District Chief Executive Kojo Banahene Bediako says his outfit is providing the needed support to the veterinary unit.
It's not benevolence. These are normal things government and municipal or district chief executives are supposed to do. You take care of your people and take care of the things that you should have to let them live and live good. So it's Assembly's money, government money, the President's money, that we are using to help the people in the right direction. We are taking good care of what they have so that they can improve. And so we decided to introduce them to the best practice and to take care of the animals so that these animals will not die. In a way, it's also helping us not to spend too much on importation of meat.
Mr. Bediako joins the veterinary team on a daily surveillance and vaccination exercise. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Now, real estate developer and managing director of Blue Rose Limited, Eric Ebuakwa, is urging civil and public sector workers to take advantage of the housing scheme being offered by government. Republic Bank has been selected by the state to offer special mortgage loans to government workers. Now, Mr. Akwa tells Joy Business the loans are attractive.
You have something that is called public sector housing scheme that is running. It's government that has given certain banks money to give affordable houses to public sector workers. It's running, and you know, a lot of people don't know about it. And because of the public sector housing, one, it's a subsidized interest rate. The interest rate is about 11.9, and normal interest rate is about 24%, but this one is subsidized by the government. It's running. And moreover, the houses too are subsidized houses. Houses that we are selling 150, we are selling it at 120,000 for the public sector houses. Whilst when you walk into our office, we'll sell it to you at 150. If you're a public sector worker, when you come, you buy it, and they give you, a range up to about 20 years to pay. So it's very modest, and I will encourage all public sector workers to take advantage, because this thing comes once a while. It came 2008, we did some with the government, and last year it has come on board, and a lot of people are coming on board. So those who haven't come on board, will entreat them to come.
Well, that story takes us to our Joy Business quick take for today. The Ghana Real Estate Developers Association unhappy about the delay in implementation of the National Housing Policy. Here's Executive Secretary Samuel Amegaivo.
This document here, I'm sure you may have seen it before. National Housing Policy. This document was launched in 2015. And if you look at page 27, this document will tell you about the intention of this policy. There was a mention of housing authority prescribed in this book, which I can give you later, you will look at it, that we needed a housing authority. If it was not necessary, a whole stakeholder engagement would not have ironed out as an important. It has not been done.
And you're watching The Marketplace. We are taking a short break. When we come back, we have an update on our top story for this afternoon. Welcome back to The Marketplace. Now to one of our top stories this afternoon. Government has unveiled a new business regulatory reform portal to enhance provision of advisory services for the private sector. The move is aimed at bridging the information gap between government and entrepreneurs on regulatory issues. And making a statement to officially launch the portal, Minister of Trade and Industry Alan Chamante entreated stakeholders to make use of the online platform to engage government on critical policy initiatives.
Importers from Vietnam now decide that they also have a set of issues. With this new system, the portal is available to you, and you can fill your comments and becomes part of the body of comments that we'll be dealing with. So it's very, very important. We are not doing this for cosmetic purposes. We want to be very practical about this. But again, it goes beyond that. We have to be able to convince the private sector that even before we agree on what should go on the electronic registry, that there is an impact assessment of the law. You don't put the law into operation and then assess the impact, and then determine whether it is good for the private sector or not. So even before it becomes law, it is not just a question of having a portal. Once you have the portal providing an opportunity for people to contribute, there has to be an impact assessment, because the stakeholders may be involved, but what about the impact on consumers? Am I making sense? What about the impact on consumers? What is the generality of the Ghanaian population saying about the importation of used cars? It cannot just be a process between the car dealers and then the government. We have to be able to assess the impact of that regulation or that law. So that is also very important, both prior to the regulation or the law or the policy, and then also after it is put in place. Last but not the least, the process must be dynamic, because times change and there are developments that may occur which may require changes in the policy or legislation that has been introduced. I've taken time to go through all this for us to understand that if we now agree that the private sector must be at the center of our national development agenda, then some of these principles and guidelines must be followed. And I hope that we can work together with you to ensure that these things are in place.
The launch of the Business Regulatory Reform Portal and in the marketplace this afternoon. Stay tuned.